I could really get into this theory, actually. I love this. Generic control in the deck goes. We're here back with some more game theory FNAF videos. Today we're doing You're Going to Hate This. It says FNAF's final boss and it has baby. I have no idea what's going to happen. The last episode, a lot of people told me just throw that entire video out the window because the theory was completely wrong, and basically it was saying that all of FNAF, like the first couple games, were all basically made up by a developer, and it was just a crazy theory that a lot of people seem to be very happy that it was actually, I think, proven to be wrong at this point. I don't know, you can check my reaction to that video. I'll leave it right up there. I'll also link down below in the description. Also going to place my channel with all my other FNAF reactions going to chronological order. I hope you had a wonderful day, and hopefully I can make it a tiny little better. But shout out to the patrons because they get videos day early. Live on Paywall channel. I do read all your comments, at least them down below, and I will be live stream today at 5 p.m. with the Pokemon Emerald Randomizer Nuzlocke. I'm preparing for the Elite Four. Not sure if I'm going to start it today, but my Pokemon are getting up there in levels to the point where I might be able to take on the Elite Four. And it's a randomizer, so I have no idea what the Elite Four is going to have, and it might be really tough, and it might be really hard. I'm expecting a bunch of Mewtwo's, and it's just going to be absolute chaos. Also, link down below in the description is a link to me playing Sister Location for the very first time on a live stream with my girlfriend if you want to watch me play a scary game. Also, I'm starting Resident Evil 4 Remake today, the day I'm recording this on Saturday, which I'll be playing that and live stream that on Saturdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The VODs will be up on the gaming channel on Tuesday. The Duck Goes Gaming, so those videos go live on Tuesday at 5 p.m. if you missed that. If you want to see what I'm like playing a scary game, go and watch that, because apparently they made the remake really scary. I've never played Resident Evil 4, so it's going to be a scary time. But I'm excited to watch this, and I hope you are too. Thank you so much for being here, and like I said, shout out to patrons and everybody that watches these videos, and if you're subscribed, I really appreciate that as well. But let's go ahead and jump to You're Going to Hate This. Alright. I don't know why I'm going to hate this, but it's a scary game, which I'm playing Resident Evil 4. Going to start that today. VOD when I'm live on Tuesday. And I'll be streaming it this coming Saturday.
You're not gonna like this one, but I think we're right.
You think?
Hello,
why
Welcome
no?
to Game
Pardon?
Theory, the show that started so many flame wars, you'd think we were a pizzaplex. So right now I'm in the middle of re-examining every piece of FNAF lore the series
Is
has
he
ever
still
produced
going
in
off of
order
the last
to construct
episode?
a definitive timeline for the series. Or,
Oh, people are excited about that.
As possible for the series, considering, you know, it's FNAF. That means that
What have I
me
started?
and Tom and head editor Dan are combing over every misleading teaser, every line of hidden website source code, every page of the novels and their accompanying
I feel like
graphic
this is
novels,
the
and
whole,
every
like,
questionable
hand on
skin
the
from
board with all the
FNAF
red
AR,
string.
From Big Chungus Springtrap to Statue of Liberty Chica, because
saw
nothing
the
says
Statue of Liberty.
America quite like rebranding a national monument with a giant toga-wearing murder chicken shilling for pizza. And our forefathers wept. Anyway, since this is an absolutely
I went to New York
massive
City
quest, we've broken the timeline
last
down
week?
into
Yeah.
3 core
2 weeks
chunks.
ago at this point.
Foundations of Freddy's, the Afton era, and post-Purple Guy. Basically everything that happens post-Springtrap getting torched in FNAF 6. So that timeline theory is still in the works. We've already made some discoveries. Some big, and some small. And it's one of the bigger ones that brings us here today. You see, as we were rewatching all the cutscenes from FNAF 6, we heard this line from the completion ending of the game.
Thank you for
So
your
much
participation.
information,
There
dude.
is no need for you to return to work next week, as Fazbear Entertainment is no longer a corporate entity.
Oh sure,
So
everyone
what is it
remembers
then?
the whole "don't keep the devil waiting" bit during that ending, but all of us tend to forget what comes after the fire. An acknowledgement that Fazbear Entertainment is no longer a corporate entity. When Henry dies in that fire,
So
the
does
game
that mean
makes
it's a
it clear
private
that
entity?
the company dies with him.
Or,
but
okay, or that.
doesn't make any sense knowing what we know now. In FNAF VR, AR,
Which
and
means it was
Security
bought.
Breach, Fazbear Entertainment is alive and still very much running. In fact, the company seems stronger than ever, building a giant mega
Which means
pizza
somebody
place
bought
that
them and
towers over
invested?
anything the company's ever done before. So what gives? A dissolved company can't be going around making new games, and they certainly aren't building new 80s inspired animatronics, are they? All of it seems
Unless
to
they got
imply that
bought.
someone restarted the company between FNAF 6 and FNAF VR. And it was that single, simple observation, my friends, that led us down a rabbit hole I believe may have solved another core part of Security Breach's endlessly frustrating story. First, we wanted to prove to ourselves that this corporate restart was a real thing. Throughout the core gameplay of
Was
FNAF
it?
6, if you buy and display animatronics with a high liability rating, you get a chance to
Liability.
experience a fun little
Huh?
mechanic known as being sued. You go through these lawsuits and decide whether to pay a
What?
lawyer to fight for you or just pay the
Those are
listed
pretty
amount
cheap
to settle
lawyer
the case.
fees.
It's a fun, quirky gameplay mechanic that fits with the humor of the franchise. However, there's a detail
That's
within these
true.
lawsuits
That's
that's
hilarious.
important. If you take a look at the names at the top of each
Something from a
lawsuit, you'll
ride?
see that the defendant is listed as Fazbear Entertainment, Inc. Those last three letters are
Inc.,
important.
Incorporated.
That I-N-C there means that Fazbear is an incorporated company. It means that Fazbear Entertainment has shareholders, people that own stocks within the company. There are also two different types of corporations.
S-corp, C-corps.
which tend to be smaller, and C-corps, which tend to be bigger. Trust me, you don't really want to know any of that, nor do you
It's
need to
important
know
to
any of it for
know.
this theory. I just bring it up
C-corp,
because it's knowledge
S-corp,
that Steph and I have
LLCs.
accumulated over the last decade of doing this work as business owners, and I just wanted it to be validated at some point in my life. Anyway, useless business information aside, as we hear at the end of FNAF 6, Fazbear Entertainment, Inc. has been dissolved.
Fazbear Entertainment is no longer a corporate entity.
We can assume that Henry, in his final act before sacrificing
Still
his life,
crazy last
dissolved
name.
any and all ownership remaining in the company, so it would die with him, which is why it's so weird that suddenly it's back.
Somebody buy the
And not
name
just
kinda
back,
like they
but
did with
back in a
Bugatti.
completely new form. In Security Breach, if you
Or
check out the
McLaren,
Balloon Boy arcade
technically.
cabinet above the daycare, on the title screen you'll find that the copyright is now owned by a brand new company,
LLC.
Fazbear Entertainment, LLC.
Which
Again,
is not a
those last
corporation.
three letters there are important. They
Which
stand
is
for
a
Limited Liability
liability.
Company.
Yeah.
Basically, it means that the owners of the business aren't shareholders, but rather one or a small group of individuals that can't be held responsible for the debts of the business. For instance, if the Fazbear business took out a small loan of $1 million but couldn't pay it back, the banks couldn't then approach Henry or William's personal money demanding repayment. LLC members also aren't usually responsible for the co-owner's negligence or wrongdoing, which again, knowing the
This is
history
my
of this company
LLC
is
paperwork.
probably gonna be a better business arrangement. Most importantly of all, though, LLCs tend to be smaller, held by one or a few individuals rather than a collection of shareholders. And this actually explains a lot. If you go for the Afton ending of Security Breach, you go down the elevator only to discover the FNAF 6 pizzeria underneath the whole thing.
Also, I feel like I kind of missed all that, so I'm gonna just go back.
Whereas,
I'm
but
sorry.
couldn't pay it back, the banks couldn't then approach Henry or William's personal
well
money
aware.
demanding repayment. LLC members also aren't usually responsible for the co-owner's negligence or wrongdoing.
Yes,
Again,
'cause
knowing
it's
the history of
limited
this company
liability.
is probably going to be a better business arrangement. Most
True.
importantly of all, though, LLCs tend to be smaller, held by one or a few individuals rather than a collection of shareholders.
Where
And
you
this
can sell the
actually
shares and
explains
stuff
a
like that,
lot.
yeah.
If you go for the Afton ending of Security Breach, you
raise
go down
funds.
the elevator only to discover the FNAF 6 pizzeria underneath the whole thing. Try explaining that decision to your shareholders. We're just gonna build our new mall on top of that old burnt down pizzeria. That'll rake in the big bucks. How about the fact that we get messages on the Faz Watch from building contractors concerned about building a giant mall over the equivalent of a sinkhole? Again, this doesn't feel
that's
like
fine.
something you'd be able to do if the company had shareholders, but if the business is owned by a
I mean,
single
well, you could do if you had
individual,
shareholders,
they
they
could
wouldn't be-
essentially do whatever they want.
Yeah, they're basically
They
taking
don't
private.
have to answer
Basically
to
Twitter.
anyone. In short, there is strong evidence to suggest that someone has restarted the
Shout out to
Fazbear
Cryptic
brand
VA.
under this new
They're coming to
corporate
Patreon.
entity. But who would do that? Why would they do that? Was I just chasing down a lead that didn't matter? No, because I wasn't the only one asking the question. In December of 2021, this book was released, the FNAF Ultimate
God.
Guide.
The
Basically,
Ultimate
your
Guide.
one-stop shop for anything important to the franchise, written by the man himself, Scott Cawthon, and only Scott Cawthon. This thing is robust. It contains every scrap of dialogue, every game mechanic, a summary
Oh,
of every
wait, every
Fazbear
game?
fright, and a description for practically every one of the
Dude,
nearly 150
what? I remember having this,
characters
like, Pokemon
introduced
games.
into the franchise. If it ain't in here, it probably ain't worth your brain space. And if the book explicitly calls something out, well, it's probably going to be worth a look. And wouldn't you know it, but in the FNAF
The
AR
virus.
description of the glitch
The
trap
virus.
we get this quote. The cease work order from the Fazbear Entertainment Office of Legal Affairs seems to indicate that the company at some point becomes aware of the problem and tries to stop it. That leaves one question. Just who is running the company? And it was here that I knew that I
Is
was
it the
on something.
virus?
The fact that
Did
the
it get bought by, like,
Ultimate
an
Guide
AI?
felt the need to point it out made me realize that this is absolutely something that we need to be solving. The clues are in place for us. It was now time for us to put it all back together. So let's figure out who's running the show over at the new improved Fazbear Entertainment LLC, shall we? Well, let's consider what exactly that person is doing. First and foremost, they're building a brand new location over the remains of
Of a
the
s-
old FNAF
which
6
is on a
location.
sinkhole.
That right there is a huge red flag. Why not just bulldoze the whole thing and build a new one? Unless, of course, they know what's down there. Because remember,
they want to
underneath
keep it
all lies the heart and soul of
they
this
want to keep it
franchise,
preserved,
Afton.
hidden
They are
almost.
choosing to build their new location on top of his literal gravesite. The head of this new Fazbear Entertainment LLC wants access to him. And as we see at the end of the game, it seems like their goal is to bring him back to his former glory. But just having access to Afton's body isn't enough. This person wants more. We know that the head of Fazbear Entertainment LLC
do we think it's Baby?
Taking an interest in Vanessa becoming head of security, despite her having no qualifications for the position. We know this based on
security usually doesn't do a whole lot.
Interview notes. As requested, here are my notes on today's Chief Security Officer interview. While Vanessa seemed eager and bright, she doesn't appear to have any relevant background experience. I realize the recommendation came from the top, but we need someone who's run security for a facility of this scale. I do not recommend her for this position. Based on this email, Vanessa should have never gotten the position, but note that it's
she should have basically never been security to begin with.
Someone wanted to hide the poor interview performance. Someone at the top. In yet another email, we see this. Quote again, new hire summary, head security guard, no prior qualifications, internal reference, name withheld. The person putting Vanessa forward for the job is trying to stay anonymous. But hold on, why would someone want to hire Vanessa despite her limited experience? Well, the only really special thing about her is that she's possessed by glitch trap. So if someone's trying to bring Afton back, preserving his body underneath the Pizzaplex, it makes sense to get someone in the Pizzaplex who houses the only other part of Afton that remains, his consciousness in the form.
I could really get into this theory, actually. I love this.
Possibly want to bring a
all the business talk.
I mean, think about what this person has done. They've restarted
the conspiracy, buying companies,
third parties to scan old circuit boards. They've rebranded the franchise, built a mall, and then doctored emails to hire someone, all in an effort to resurrect Afton. Who would do that? Who would go to that level of extreme? Can't be Vanessa. She can't hire herself. Can't be Michael. He's always trying to get rid of Afton.
Yeah.
Can't be Henry. He dissolved the company in the first place. Can't be Gregory because he's trying to destroy the animatronics.
Oh, is he
but
trying to destroy
someone it can be.
I will make you proud, Daddy.
The only person who would be that motivated to bring Afton back to life. The one person that through all the games they appeared and has been on Afton's side wanting to keep his vision alive. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I submit to you that Elizabeth Afton is the one in control of the new Fazbear Entertainment LLC. I guess you could call her the boss baby. I will now pause and give you a chance to write your collective groans, frustrations, and general vitriol down in the comments.
Can't write a comment
let me
on
quickly
Xbox.
remind you that right above that fiery comment section is our merch shelf, where it's your last chance to pre-order our new ARG jacket, the puzzle that you wear.
Oh, wait, he's actually showing it now. That looks sick.
Get your orders in this weekend. But you know what? If you don't
want
the hassle of solving
but that kind of looks really cool.
You just want to be snugly and warm this holiday season, might I suggest
believe me, I'm sweating right now.
items that we have in stock right now, including the Dreamweave blanket and the Pixel Player lounge pant and hoodie. They're snuggly, they're warm,
like the
and they make it
sleeves.
look like you just stepped out of an 8-bit minigame. Place your orders now
What's
so
an
that way you
8-bit
get
mini?
in time for
Joking.
Christmas. All right, you
But
don't
seriously, what is
in
an
the
8-bit
comments.
mini?
Told you this one would make
Isn't
you
like a
mad.
blocky
Let's see what you wrote. And
arcade
yes,
game?
I'm doing this from the past. But Elizabeth is dead. Baby's eyes are
opinion.
blacked out in the blob. She died in FNAF 6. Yep, all of those are perfectly valid. I know it sounds insane.
But what if she's
Believe
just an
me,
AI?
No one recognizes that more than me. But I ask you, when has any character that's meant to be dead in this franchise
Stay dead.
ever stayed dead? Let's just look at the facts, shall we? Our second ever theory on this game drew attention to all the similarities between Elizabeth Afton and Vanessa. They both like flowers, they both have an abusive and manipulative father named William A., and of course, there's the blonde hair and green eyes. However,
all those things aren't
able to actually figure
super
out how
uncommon.
These two characters are connected beyond them just being similar. Could it just be another instance of this franchise doing what I like to call pulling a Jeremy? That's using the same detail multiple times just to confuse us. But you see, there's a bit more that's suspicious about Vanessa. There's one thing that me and every other theorist out there has been scared to tackle in this game.
Is that right, Toast?
Security breaches fire escape ending. In it, Glamrock Freddy yeets Vanny off the top of a burning pizzaplex, sending both of them to their death. Gregory pulls off the Vanny mask to reveal that it was Vanessa the whole time. A twist that surprised literally no one. Except after the credits, we pan up to the roof to see security guard Vanessa looking down as the building burns around her.
And she's stuck up there.
What? Two Vanessas? Everyone just kind of collectively hand-waved this away. It must be a hallucination. Maybe it's her spirit still trapped in the pizzaplex. Or maybe, just maybe, Vanny and Vanessa have always been two separate individuals. Do
you ever see them in the same room?
Sisters. Hold on.
Twins?
Security Breach Fury's Rage, we get VR sisters. That's one of the bosses in Fury's Rage. And I think it could be possible that one of the sisters maybe Vanessa Vanessa went to go save her other sister after being taken over by Glitch Trap.
That's a lot of
Recently,
people.
a new theorist has entered the ring with some pretty interesting things to say about Security Breach. John from the YouTube channel FNAF. And while I was busy coining the catchphrase
Music Man,
he was busy in his corner preaching the gospel
300,000
of
subscribers?
the VR
Good
sisters.
for him.
Remember them? Of course you don't.
I don't.
Why would you?
I don't know who
let me
those are.
refresh your memory.
I don't think I've seen
In
this
case you've
before.
forgotten, Security Breach got delayed a lot. I mean, a lot. And
Yeah,
at one
well,
point,
COVID
Scott
kinda
Coffin,
happened.
worried that the fan base would be upset about the repeated delays, decided to release a short little meme game to tide us all over. A beat-em-up title.
Oh, yeah, I
called
remember this.
Fury's Rage.
The fan base, when they find out that I have to delay the game again, they're gonna kill me.
Yep.
What am I gonna do?
He had time to make this game though.
I'll make a game for them.
4 straightforward levels with a secret boss at the end, punching through waves of the franchise's most forgettable enemies. Freddy Frostbear, Clown, Springtrap, Radioactive Foxy, L-Chip. And the rest of the enemies are just variations of Chica, the Puppet, Mango, Baby. As for the bosses, most of them are jokes. Sure, you've got Vanny, but there's also Mega Brow, which is just Brow Boy from FNAF World. There's Soul Brawl,
didn't know about him.
which is a reference to one of Scott's earlier game characters, Soul Dozer. And the secret
that
final
looks
boss
cool.
of the game, Dreamgeist, basically a giant troll about fan theories. And yet,
Oh,
in
with
this
all the
game full of
keyholes?
memes and tongue-in-cheek references, there's one set of characters that don't quite fit. The first level's
VR
boss,
sisters?
the VR sisters. They're the only truly original characters for this game. Literally everyone else you can point to and understand what the reference is. Now, that
Okay, I
is
like how they wait to
why
fight you
would
one-on-one.
Scott put the time and effort into designing them, coming up with a name, and purposely putting them in there for us to look at if they weren't important in some way? With
'Cause why
Vanessa
not?
being taken over by the Glitch Trap virus in FNAF VR,
Uh-oh.
it makes sense for this to be in relation to her in some way. She's a VR sister. And then her having a twin sister would explain why there could
One
be a
of them-
second Vanessa at the top of a burning building during the ending. What is
But
it that
did they
John's
ever
been saying lately in his theory
reference
vids?
that?
Need more proof?
Yeah, I do. You probably do too. Luckily,
Yeah.
I have it for you. Once you get to level 4 of Fury's Rage, you find yourself in some sort of factory surrounded by conveyor belts and magnets
There's
holding up
hands.
humanoid robot torsos. In the end, you fight Vanny and the game ends. But wait, before you get to the
Wait,
boss
Vanny's the
battle,
final?
there's one
No.
very crucial
just
detail
the
in the
level.
level that everyone overlooked. An orange pod with a female figure sitting inside. I've seen enough sci-fi to know that right there
Is
is
a clone.
birthing pod. And the figure inside looks an awful lot like Baby from the Fourth Closet graphic novel. That's right, friendo. It's time once again for everyone's
Books.
favorite segment. Matt Pat uses the lore of multiple FNAF books to explain parts of the game that make no sense.
Yep.
In the Fourth Closet, Baby's origins take a weird turn. She's actually a robot built by Henry to help replace his daughter Charlie after her death. You see, Henry creates a robot for each stage of his daughter's life.
And then
Toddler,
uploads his
child,
memories.
Teenager, and finally adult. In his
you don't
mind,
see the
this
children?
would allow her to grow up with everyone else around her. And this gave us our first confirmed instance of robot kids being a thing inside of the series. Robots that are capable of bleeding, eating, feeling cold.
I know they
And
make
here's the
graphic
weirdest twist of
novels.
them all. Baby is the final adult form of Charlie, which, let's just say I have some strong feelings about. People hate when I talk about the books. The books tell you the rough guidelines or rough rules
Yeah.
of the universe. When you look at the books and there's this repeated thing of creators building robot kids, okay, well, apparently that's fair game. And then
I mean,
to take
they do it
one
over and over again.
insane logical step further and say, not only are they building robotic versions of kids, but multiple versions of robotic kids at different ages, I would say you are insane. That's so stupid. It is a weird thing for them to do, and it challenges realism to such an absurd degree. Yeah. That you're like, yeah, and no one's noticing that this person that they're interacting with and that bleeds. Again, because they bleed in the books. That bleeds. No one is noticing that this person doesn't age, but is still also eating in order to survive, but is also like perfectly passable as a human in every other way, shape, and form. That's crazy. And then
It
the
is
books
crazy.
layer on, and it's also Baby, who is a robot clown. And you're like, that's so stupid.
But
I feel
it
like
works,
no
I
wonder
guess.
People think that the theories that we produce are insane because
The story is
telling
insane.
you what the books say. Welcome to the books, I guess. What's also
Yeah.
interesting is that in the books, it's clear that previous versions of the robot humans don't have to stop working or die in order for newer, more grown-up models to activate. Both
Oh, so
teenage
you're trying to tell me
Charlie
there
and
can be-
adult Charlie, aka Baby,
Yeah.
are walking around, totally sentient with their own goals and motivations. One wanting to live a normal
That's
life,
crazy.
completely unaware that she's a robot, and the other looking to kill children in service service of William Afton, bitter because she's a robot. Sounds a lot like the relationship between a certain young security guard and her twin sister Murder Rabbit. Now, while we have no evidence to really support Charlie being rebuilt in the game lore like she was in the books, it does seem like Elizabeth may have multiple sisters of herself running around. In
Clones,
the words of
maybe?
John, who first proposed this one a year ago,
It could be very well possible that once Elizabeth died, William Afton not too soon after rebuilt her and built different ages of her throughout the years, just like we see in the books in robot form. So that would be VR sisters, two different versions of the same person.
you know what? I think he's right. At the time, we didn't have the
That's
evidence,
very-
but now
yeah.
I think he was ahead of his time. Move over,
might be.
Gregory. There's a new
There's a new
human in
robot.
town, and
Oh.
her name is Elizabeth Afton, and Vanessa, and Vanny, and probably the head of Fazbear Entertainment LLC too. All iterations
Probably bought
of
it
the
for cheap,
same
too.
person from different life stages. All Elizabeth Afton. Some aware of who they really are, and some not. And one of those versions is Ruined DLC Girl. In some of
Oh,
Security
wow, I'm not
Breach's
even
cut
sure. I
dialogue,
think his
there are
Ruined
laugh
DLC
lines that
theories are kind
definitely
of wrong.
feminine, but also some
This video
that
came out
clearly mix in a
8
young
months ago.
girlish
Wow.
tone.
Wait. So did this come out in 2023?
Hear that last one? Clearly there's a childish girl laugh with a bit of a British accent mixed in there, exactly like the voice of Elizabeth from Sister Location. Sites like the Cutting Room Floor attribute these as cut Vanny lines, which makes sense considering that there aren't many human females in the game, but that laugh seems awfully young for Vanessa
It does.
or Vanny. And that's not all. Going back to Fury's Rage, notice the shoes on the VR sisters, specifically the cool purple sneakers. I could have sworn that they had matched the design of the blonde girl's light up sneakers in the Ruined DLC poster.
Not really.
Upon closer inspection, yeah, it was close, but not
No.
strong enough of a match for me to call it out in a theory. Dead end, right? No. Notice the two colors on those shoes.
Oh, yeah,
red
well-
and purple. Very specific shades of red and purple.
Are they the
And
same
what's
shades?
The coloring of our two VR sisters?
Red and purple.
Seems that maybe, just maybe, this blonde girl is also part of the Elizabeth sisters. So that would actually give
That's
us our
a lot.
four
I wonder
closets,
how
baby.
accurate
The
this
original
is.
young girl Elizabeth in the Ruined DLC, Vanessa, the 23-year-old security guard according to the FNAF AR emails, and Vanny, who, you know, just might be slightly older. Her being a robot
Slightly
will also explain
older.
how she survived a massive fall from the top of a pizzaplex without
Wait,
being
she
totally
survived?
disfigured. Personally, I think this would actually be
Oh.
a pretty cool idea, having all the versions of Elizabeth come together. This child, Vanny,
And 4:30,
Vanessa,
make a
maybe
video
even
live.
the original baby would show up to complete the tribe
Epic
of
rap battle
robot
history.
Elizabeths. But doesn't all of this disprove my initial theory? If Vanny is the adult version of Elizabeth, then doesn't that mean we're out of Elizabeths to run Fazbear Entertainment LLC?
No.
We filled all 4 of our closets. Well, not quite. Because when you get to the very end of that final book, Charlie's love interest John stands by Charlie's grave after all the other known versions of her have died. He looks up and sees none other than
Then
yet
Charlie.
another, slightly older version of Charlie standing
Hello.
in front of him. I kind of just wrote
That's
this off initially
terrifying.
as a cute ending, but in the wake of what we've been talking about this whole time, it reveals that there were never just 4 closets. There were never just 4 versions of Charlie.
There's probably
There
a
were
lot.
more. Potentially an infinite number of them, which honestly makes sense. Can't have a 20-something-year-old Charlie looking 20 forever. She too would need
True.
to age up to look like a woman in her 30s, her 40s, her 50s. This idea is also shown in Fury's Rage. While the VR sisters are the first bosses, after you defeat them, they become regular enemies during the 3rd level. There are dozens of them that come out to attack you. one after
because
the
there's
other
just a
after
lot
the
of
other.
them.
New ones being built to achieve their purpose. Other bosses don't do that in the
It's
game.
only the
And in
VR
stage
sisters?
4, those
And he
humanoid
didn't realize
robot
the
torsos
significance
hanging
of
from the
that?
ceiling, they look a little bit more on the feminine side to me. Robot
Yes.
women being built by the boatload, ready to replace the ones that we destroy, be they VR sisters or security guards or murderous rabbits. And at the top of the food chain is an older, wiser, more vengeful version of Elizabeth pulling the strings.
Is it the
Looking to
older
bring her
one or to be
family
the
of
younger
robots
one?
all back together to the same
I don't
place.
know.
I suppose you could say
Maybe
that
the
that
original
makes the
one. I don't-
Pizzaplex the
maybe not.
true
Probably not, no.
sister location. But hey,
Oh
say
my
all you
God.
want about Elizabeth's business practices, you gotta admit she knows how to dress up a joint. I've
she got the
always
funding
loved how
somehow.
The Pizzaplex looks. That 80s neon style just hits the nostalgia button hard for me. Fortunately, the metal posters from our sponsor Display are here
Oh,
to
there's
scratch
music.
that very itch. Now I'm able to have all those bright neon colors fill in the office even when we're not focusing on FNAF.
He has music playing in the background. The company that has, I guess, the rights to that music will copyright claim the video the moment the video goes live, and then I'll have to mute the entire audio, like me included, after the video goes live because they'll wait. That video, that just happened like at a 20-minute mark. It'll be 3 minutes after the video gets posted, and they'll literally go, oh, we've copyright claimed this video for something that's happened at the 20-minute to 23rd minute. It's just, oh my god, YouTube's copyright system. Mr. Beats has had an issue with his. Somebody, like, copyright takedown or the video that was, like, the most popular video that's ever been uploaded to YouTube or something like that. I have no idea. But I love this theory. I love the whole somebody buying it. That seems pretty much confirmed, you know, starting from a corporate entity, like a corporation, to an LLC. Like, that seems pretty cut and dry to me, and it would make a whole lot of sense. But basically, who bought it, and it does kind of make sense that, you know, well, Elizabeth bought it. So this was a very, very cool theory. I really enjoyed this. I hope you did as well. Hopefully this is right. Like I said, I'll be live streaming today, playing some Pokemon Emerald Randomizer with Nuzlocke, and Saturday I'm playing Resident Evil 4 for the very first time. It should be the second time I'm streaming it, because I'm going to stream it today here in about 27 minutes from now. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it made your day a tiny little better. But until the next video, take care and cue the music.